So they say we don't have a voice. So for Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm gonna use my voice, and I'm going to um, just share, some of the things that I've been going through. Um, I want to start with November 22nd of 2022, somewhere there about. I want to say the 22nd. I was misplaced from my living space, me and my family, and as a man, as a father, you're the provider, and you are the one that's supposed to see. This is our ancient indigenous grounds, so you don't see anything modern out here. You don't see anything modern. You can actually see the mound structures, right? So during that time where the land looked like that and looked like this, it wasn't overpopulated. We were hunter-gatherers. So what is a hunter-gatherer? That's the one that literally goes out to get the bacon. They're hunting all day. They can hunt for a week every quarter and have food for that season, enough food supply for that season. And then we would trim the timber to build homes so that we can have established roofs for at least 2, not years, but 2 generations, 2 to 3 generations. Okay? So that's how we moved as a unit. I was watching a video with my mom from 2007, and she was not too far from here, and she was talking about unity between Louisville and Winston-Salem. That's what she was talking about. That's what she was preaching. I don't have much footage of her, much tapestry of my mama, just for the simple fact that we didn't have video phones like this back then, and Instagram and YouTube, and we didn't do all that. We had camcorders, and all of the camcorder stuff that I got on my mom is like 05, 07. So I was watching it from a family reunion and before, the 80s and stuff. So I was watching her talk about unity, and that's really what I represent as far as in my life, is you need this territory where I'm at, that my mom gave birth to me and raised me on, which is right around these hills here, straight through these hills that way. Straight through those hills is where my mama raised, and my father, I give him all the credit. I give him credit, and I give him my mod. Al-Mahd is praise for the sacrifices. He beat cancer 3 times, and he met my mama. So, and married her. Just imagine you meeting the most beautiful, my mama moved like Sheba. She was independent. She was coming into herself, and she, like how she was talking about in the video, she had the last family reunion, Jones family reunion, here, for our sets of the Joneses. That was our last reunion, was in 07 in here, Trey Folk. And she was the one that, brought the family from Louisville. She was tied. And so now I'm fulfilling that role. That's why I say I'm Ibn Darrel, because that's a title. And every title has a description, a job description. So my job is to unite, whatever it may be. The Louisville and the TRAFO. We currently are doing that. It's loyalty. We do that. We are so I'm good in Louisville. You know, I can go lay my head in Louisville right now if I needed to. You know, in multiple different places. That's just how it is. That's the love that I receive from the family, and then vice versa. You know, vice versa. So we have encampments in both territories. But going back to November the 22nd, I was actually displaced in what for my family would be foreign territory. For my family. Now for the tribe, we there. You know what I'm saying? Our people, we there. That's our, you know, the history of that land is the Chickamauga, the Cherokee were there. That's the Anianwea. So we just gonna say the Anianwea. That's the real people. They came here from here. They came from here. The land was always here. So we've always been traveling. Anytime you go over the Appalachian and settle, we call those tribes Tanasi. It's called Tanasi. That's where you get Tennessee from. Okay? So that was considered Tanasi. Tanasi. Okay? And Tanasi is for me is for the love of Nasir. That's my son. You know, like they say, Ta Mary, you know, the love of Mary or the love of the Maryland. And okay, so that's the unity. You tying the Maryland to the Virgin Mary, the Virgin Mary, Ave Maria. But my mama was Louisa. So now we had to have 64. Because if you tie in Mary to Virginia, now you gotta have 64 that's gonna connect you to Kentucky, Louisville, to be exact, where my mama from. And you gotta go through Louisa on 64 to get to her. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, I was called by the Most High to that territory. I would not have been able to spit the facts that I'm giving you right now if I did not accept that calling. And I went there with, like, people move with budgets. You know, they move with budgets. Like, I did not have a budget. You know, I was getting it out the mud. Legitimately. I was getting it out the mud. And I just relocated my family there because I was just called, and I moved on the Trail of Tears. And y'all have heard me talk and sing, like, you know, me tell this story, but, you know, I'm specifically want to go back to 11/22. And on 11/22 of 2022, I had an appearance for one of my trust organizations to be in court. And so as trustee, I had to go to court for a motion to compel that was filed by the property management company where, you know, our organization had a dwelling space at, you know. So, and mind you, this organization is what provided the housing for my daughter to be born, right? So it's an alternative to going to the hospital. However, the goal, because this is the second time that, you know, I've experienced childbirth with the same mother. So, therefore, I understood that a woman postpartum needs at least a year. she needs from at least 9 months to a year to get back situated. And boy, when they get back, it's they because they done been held down, them babies, Um, so respectfully, fellas, you have to know how to be able to let your woman go and be right. Because after she recovers from pregnancy, she putting her life on the line here. So therefore, she's gonna live the best life, right? After she goes through everything that goes with childbirth. But the point I'm getting at is she needs to be in a structural home, especially if she's giving birth in a home. Which in my case, my daughter's mother did. And so that has to be protected. That needs to be funded. That needs to be resourced. That needs to be priority. There needs to be budgets awarded towards that. Women who are giving birth, who need housing, they need stipend. They need it. They need it. It needs to be fixed, because just like a hospital bill could be $800,000, okay, well, let's deduct from that equity and use that to house families. And this gives families time to build homes and do what they need to do, get back, re-enter society as parents, right? And get their children acclimated to society. That is very important. And like I said, I'm sharing this story because I was directly impacted by this. Okay, my home got invaded. I got invaded on the 17th before the hearing. Okay, so November 17th is when my daughter was less than 2 months old. My son was 2 at the time. He was 2 at the time, but he remembers vividly this occurrence. These guys had guns. They were in unmarked vehicles. They were raiding us like I was like El Chapo. That's just really how they came. These are the same people that's deporting these people who have the right to be here and denying them due process. It's the same thing that happened to us. So 5 days or so before the hearing, the proper hearing, where we had all our receipts and everything, birth records, everything, all of that, declarations, everything, all of that. Before we could be properly heard, we were invaded, right? We were invaded and we were evaded, and we spoke to everybody who could prevent it, because that's an act of genocide. If you look into Article 10 of the Declarations of Rights for Indigenous People, you'll see where it talks about consent and having the informed consent of the tribe before they're misplaced, and not only the consent but just compensation. So if you're going to misplace a family, you have to pay for them to be misplaced, or to be re-situated. That's legitimately, that's why they don't want to talk about the rights, because the rights is legitimately commerce. It's authorization for you to get paid. It's that simple. So I just remember that morning of the hearing after we had been misplaced. And a lot of people that come to the country, they come in here to escape their traumas and the dark places that they grew up in, and to start a new life in a environment is everything. So in a healthy environment, so that's what you would call self-determination. And when you deport people back, when you deporting them back to these countries, they can end up getting killed, they can end up getting kidnapped, misplaced from their family getting broken up, broken homes, So, but it's not the point I'm just happening. It's like they called us the homegrowns. It's happening to us too. I personally, my person got snatched this year, but I just don't talk about it because the way I had to see it, and they took me 6 hours away from my domicile without any warrant, right? And without being properly heard or with no evidence that I committed a crime. So, I had to understand that I'm going through this for a higher calling, and it's to, like, a lot of people, they switch the channel, they flip through the posts where the people are getting deported and everything that's going on with ICE. It's not just ICE, right? It's not just ICE. It's these police departments. It's these unmarked police officers acting as government officials when they're not. So, this is what I went through, and I was able to recover all parts of my estate from the last invasion, and to securitize it. And when I went to transport it, my personal property and my trust property and my family's estate and wealth, I got arrested initially. And so it was it's like when I got kidnapped this year, and I'm gonna go back to the 22nd of November. When I got kidnapped and they had me chained, my feet, my legs and my arms chained, and I literally I wasn't even in a mercenaries vehicle. I was in a regular rental car, really, and I'm chained, and they're taking me to the detention center. I was sitting there thinking, like we talked about self-determination. I was like, is this what the cost of self-determination is? Is this where the anxiety came from? When you have dreams and you say, nah, I'm not going to do that because something bad may happen. Is this what happens when you pursue your destiny? Is this the extremes of what you have to go through for simply soul searching, like how Santiago did in The Alchemist, right? So, is this what it costs to be great, right? Is it a crime to be self-determined? Is it a crime? So this is what I had to go through, is how I had to look at it. I had to look at it like, there's millions of people that's going through this or similar, people getting their kids taken away from them, their houses foreclosed, so many different things where it's all acts of genocide through paper, commerce, and color of law, and coercion, and tyranny. It's all genocide, because if it's causing you mental harm, you should look at the Genocide Convention of 1984 in Geneva, Switzerland. And when you read what happened at that convention, you're going to see that they proclaim mental harm to be an act of genocide. So if you are a suppressed heir and you've been robbed of your estate and you have not gotten remedy or just compensation for it, you're a victim of genocide. This is why we fly the Palestinian flag, because the same thing that's happening over there has been happening over here even longer. Okay? The whole point of them being over there was because they were getting kicked out of Germany, and Hitler was kicking them out of Germany, and they went to the Holy Land. And what they do is like, okay, I'm here in Bethania. Bethania wasn't incorporated until the year I was born, right? So if Bethania was incorporated in the year I was born, then it existed before, right? Because strategy is like, well, we're going to name it Bethania. Just like we're going to name it the Church of Christ, because that's going to, now we can get Christ's assets or his royalties in the form of tithes, which is fraud, is the point I'm telling you. You can't incorporate God's name. You can't do that. God is a living God. He's a living God. She's a breathing God. She's a being of little. The fetus, so the living, the breathing, that's the jurisdiction, right? And these state courts cannot hear cases that are involved with living, breathing individuals. So all these people who are being deported, right? All these people that ICE is taking, these are living and breathing humans, mammals. They cannot hear it. They don't have jurisdiction to hear it. And so shout out to the brother Rod Hayes, because he talks about the original tribunal courts, because they exist. And these original tribunal courts, they are the ones that can hear your complaints when it comes to the violations, and the ones that can order their minions to pay you. That's just literally it. We go to the wrong. You cannot go to the wolf asking him not to, telling on the other wolf that bit you from his clan. Because guess what? He gonna be like, now that you the motherfucking told on my wolf, now I see that you ratting on the clan. So now we got to get rid of you too. And we gonna stop you. But if you go to the bears, do you understand? That's what justice is about. Subject matter jurisdiction. Subject matter jurisdiction. Swiper, no swiping. It's a beautiful day out here today. So yeah, for mental health, so that on the 11th, or the 11th month, the 22nd day in the year 2022, I remember going to that hearing that morning, and I spoke. The lady, she was from California, by way of Mexico, I believe. And she picked me up right at 8:15 on the dot. Nipsey, you know what I'm saying? I think I got there right at 8:15. And she picked me up at 8, and I got to the court at 8:15. And on my way there, I was just telling her that, number one, my people from California, you feel what I'm saying? Like my sister and them, her tribe, they from California. In fact, my great nephew just graduated from middle school in California, Lahi, right? And so, I was telling the lady that I'm representing our people today. I'm standing on behalf of our people today. Everybody who's been unlawfully detained, people who's had their property taken from them, their children taken from them, their children taken from them, their homes, their papers seized. I represent them. And I told myself that moment that's what my fight is about. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for our people. And that has been what my MO have been. If you go to my Instagram and you follow me on Instagram, Darrell Q Slade, and you just look from 2022 all the way to today, and look at what my posts have been. Really, you could go back to 2021 because it was before you can go back to when I first got misplaced on August 20th, 2021. And before August 20th, I was going to have a conference on August the 8th through the 15th, ending up on Nipsey's birthday. But I got sick because we had mold in our apartment. So I had to call everything off. I lost all motivation. And when I explained it to the people in the front office where we were paying our rents to, they ignored us. So that made me even more sicker because I didn't know what to do. You feel me? I almost lost my life because of this. And again, this is mental damages. I almost lost my life because of this. Because of the humidity. And this can be studied. Mold in the apartment. It's dangerous. And humidity on top of that. Having humidity, like AC not working, and your humidity is hot, so therefore the moisture, which is like the sweat that's forming in the house, is causing more mold. It's terrible. Almost lost my life because of this. So if you look at my Instagram, I've never really opened up about this publicly, but it's been hell, and I never talked about it. You can see indirectly all of those posts, they're there as, again, my journey to say, well, this is my calling. I represent my tribe, the Anyanwea. I'm the original stock of this land. You cannot, when you see this land, you think of me. When you see me, you think of this land. We won, right? This is where I come from. Like, this is legitimately where I come from. This is where you can send mail. You send your mail. This is where we get it at. That's it. If you send your mail here. And the thing about Bethania If you look at the Second Continental Congress from 1796, I want to say, or 1793, one of the two, somewhere there about, I want to say the latter, 1796. And you're going to see Bethania is listed in there as a postal town, meaning that they were getting postal mail. The post office was established here that year. That year, the postal town of Bethania